This is the Sewing Circle podcast presented by Hanky Code. I'm Rebecca Vanderkoy, here to introduce to you up-and-coming queer artists and the powerful stories behind their work. Today, I am so excited to introduce you to Jackpot Mavaotic, a multidisciplinary artist, producer, singer, and drag artist. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
Of course, I'm really excited to chat with you. So, how long have you known that you wanted to be an artist?
Well, this is gonna sound a little bit cliche, but as a child, but the thing is, I was already like singing, but like in my own room and like doing theater stuff, but all in my own room. But I never really dared to let it out because of like what the world would tell me, like teachers and parents, this fear-based kind of conversations like, oh, you will never be able to make money and that kind of stuff. So for a very long time, I never really did anything with it until when I was in my 20s, so like around 21, 22. And now I'm 27, almost 28. So yeah, I'm very grateful that I got that little spark as a child back finally.
I'm really glad you did too. How would you describe your music style?
Ooh. um, hmm. I like all kinds of music genres. It's really hard to label my music as just one genre. Some people, with especially the music that's been released previously and is coming up, some people say that I might be creating a subgenre in the pop genre, so like clown pop and also circus pop. But circus pop is already a small niche thing going on, I believe.
Hmm.
Um, so something like that, and especially with the new music coming up, I'm working with a production team from Foxer Talent, and together with a music producer called Hans, and he's incredible. Like when we work together, it's like we found parts of ourselves back in each other. If I don't know how to explain that energy, but it's really weird. Like the first moment we met, it just clicked instantly, and that music is like everything together. So it's like very 80s, it's pop, it's theater, it's circus, it's all kinds of stuff. And we're very excited to release this album, but it's still gonna take a while, but that's really gonna show how free music actually can be.
Yeah, no, that's really exciting. So you mentioned the album, so I have to ask, what can you tell us about that project?
It's super exciting. So it first started with that I wanted to make an album from my experience as a transgender man. My drag persona, Jackpot, he actually was created out of my own gender dysphoria. And for a very long time, I got judged a lot on my decision to change my gender, my appearance. But also, I had a lot of men fetishizing me. So that was a very hard period of my time, but this was a very valuable period because that's where my drag persona Jackpot arose, and it basically started with me making a joke when a man asked me what I have in my pants, and I was like a jackpot. And unconsciously, I made a link between a gambling game. So when you have a gambling game, you have three symbols, and I, as a trans man, have three holes. If you really like think through, and that actually helped me to create a joke about my insecurity and kind of mask that and like stand up for myself by joking on it and something. But very
Yeah.
quickly, I built an entire character around it. It's called Jackpot, and I even published a book about it, which I can also tell about later. Um, and then I started to have this feeling like, oh my God, I really at some point want to create an album about how Jackpot helped me with finding confidence in myself and standing up against the chasers and that stuff. And then at some point, I met this production team and I started to talk about it with them and I showed them my lyrics and productions I made. And they were like, oh, we're gonna work together with you. And I had very valuable conversations with a person, and his name was Trevor, and I was telling him about that I created a song called back then "This Body Is Mine to Define," and it was very much about being fetishized and the question, "What do you have in your pants?" And he was like, "Wait, as a black man, I get that exact same question as well." And I was like, "Oh, what do you mean? I don't know what you mean." And I was like, well, do you know the BBC thing? And in the porn industry, that's a very big fetishized thing, and we get judged on that a lot, and we have this stereotypical kind of judgment on that. And I was like, oh my God, you're so right. Like, I didn't think about that at all. And then, thanks to him, I started to do more research about intersex people, non binary people, women who grow beards because it's in their genes. All those people, even drag artists, gays who just like to dress up, like men who don't necessarily are afraid, or women to stick to certain kinds of clothing styles. All these people get that same question in some way. So this entire song started to develop from just my story to a very inclusive story. And then, of course, in the album there are also gonna be like songs specifically about my character standing up for me against those chasers, because it's also his character building. But the leading song called Wonderland, and that's also gonna be the name of the album, that's gonna be about everyone getting this question and standing strong together. And that's just, it was a very beautiful turning point. So I can say it's like, of course, sharing my experience, but also be in a very inclusive way, and trying to break the barriers of, hey, this is just my story now, it's something we can relate to together. And if we stand strong together, we are stronger together instead of just one perspective.
Absolutely. I feel like it's so amazing how, first of all, like this drag persona has helped you, but I also definitely think that like so many people are going to be able to like relate in one way or another.
I hope
Um,
so.
yeah, I definitely think so. So I'm curious, how did you settle on kind of like the clown aesthetic of things?
Okay, that's a very interesting question. So a clown is very symbolic for a misfit, and especially a character that's still laughing through the pain. Joker, the new movie about Joker, is very, very well explained about the concept of a clown, um, especially about the mental part of it. Um, and it's just, I thought it was a very good way to express being a misfit of society, and not being necessarily part of their ways of how to dress and how to look and how to be. And especially nowadays, from what you're seeing with trans people, also non-binary people, and what I'm explaining, I genuinely believe that what's going on in the toilets right now, people being checked. I believe there are also people who are not necessarily trans or non-binary. They also are getting checked and questioned. Um, and these are just perfect examples of being like a misfit, or like not part of the society. And a clown is just a very strong symbol for that. And then you can also link that to a circus, and that can be like a heaven of like color and freedom and free expression. And that is what my character is basically based on about. So the original character is actually Mel Stardust, and he's a clown ringmaster of a circus, and he created this circus to create a space for freedom, free expression. Everyone is welcome there. There's no judgment. Basically, heaven on earth. Basically, with a lot of color and very utopia. And then at some point, he loses his voice, and he gets an AI brain implant. And Jackpot is an alien AI intelligence from another planet, and he then takes over the body of Mel Stardust and becomes like this very confident diva, very inspired on Rocky Horror Picture Show Frankenfurter. And then basically, then the story goes about like trying to balance those two parts of yourself. So like this part of yourself that's up in the air, like very overly confident, and trying to find the balance about what is confidence really, and when are you reacting out of like purely survival or emotion, or reflective, being introspective and reflective about it. And a circus is just also a very inclusive way, because how I would see my future shows as well is that when other artists would join me on the stage, whether that is an orchestra or a choir, or the singers or a guitarist, I would give everyone the freedom to create their own character that would come join the circus, because then you can be inclusive in the broadest way as possible, because people can just really be part of something instead of me telling them to be what you need to be. So I hope that explains it, or something, the symbolism behind it, why I use it.
That no, that makes a lot of sense. And I feel like it's such a great way to portray being different and unique. And also such a fun way because like the whole aesthetic of like circus and clowns is such like a fun and delightful thing. And I feel like especially for people who've like, for so long you felt different and stuff, like leaning into something so joyful like a circus and clowns is just like a really lovely thing.
Exactly. Oh, I also forgot something. It just popped up in my head. It's a very important detail. So when Mel Stardust gets taken over by Jackpot, then he turns into a killer clown. And that's like also this perfect story of a villain, how a villain is built. So like a clown is being bullied and like in his story and being pushed to the limits. And at some point there's this snapping point and he just starts to take revenge. But it's like an external I portray like the this killer clown, this jackpot that gets in his head through the AI brain implant, as also a part of yourself, but also a warning of what is the future gonna do with AI, um, and just trying to find this balance between standing up for yourself, but also out of love instead of out of purely the strong emotion that we can experience here. If that makes sense.
No, that makes sense.
Okay.
I feel like I really love when artists are just doing something completely different, and especially kind of the aspect of inclusivity and like wanting it to be a safe place and like a place where everyone is feeling welcome. So I think that what you're doing is like something very cool.
Thank you. I'm happy it comes across like that.
Yeah. So you mentioned a few minutes ago, and I have to ask, there's something about a book. What can you say about that?
Yes. So I published my own book. It's called The World of Mavaotic. And it's basically the entire lore story and world building around my characters. So around the circus, around Jackpot, Mel Stardust. I also wrote my own philosophy in there. So in the introduction, people can read the philosophy. And it's also the base ground on how this whole story was built up because like all these characters are basically parts of yourself and reflection of humanity and the way we communicate with each other, the way social terms are built up and systems and utopia concepts and all that kind of stuff. So it's a very fantasy horror um, multi-universe kind of story, but also very philosophical and but in a nice way to read instead of like only the thinking. And then
Hmm.
in the back of the book, all right. So in the back of the book, you can actually create your own character.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yes, because for more than 10 years, I've been role playing, so like writing and interacting with people online through that. And I'm hoping that whenever there would ever be a fan base, that fans can create their own characters and really involve themselves into this world. And I also want to then eventually create like Comic Con kind of stuff, like our own convention, so people can show their own characters there and have performances. I really want to involve people together and in this world, and whether that's on the stage with me or within the fan base, like creating like spaces to do that.
Yeah,
Um, and I think that would be a nice way for people also to find each other within
I think so. Yeah.
self and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, no, that's really cool. So, speaking of, obviously, you have in there like how to create a character. What is, you've created some characters, you obviously created this whole book and this whole story. What has the process like been like to create a character for you?
Ooh. So, like I said, Jackpot and Mel Stardust, they have been parts of myself. So, for example, Mel Stardust losing his voice is actually me struggling with social anxiety. For a very long time, I had a lot of struggles with my voice. I was only talking from my throat and not from the stomach. Um, so I started to reflect on parts of myself, whether that's my own emotions, ego, fears, beliefs of the world, through a character and building an entire dramatic story around it. And that has been a very transformative, if that's the right word, way to get to know myself, but in a very creative way. And actually through performing. So like I wasn't really practicing at home. My practice would be on the stage with my drag persona, and I would just see it happen there. And I noticed that when people would show me videos, that I would actually learn something from the character when watching those videos. Because on the stage, it was like something would take me over or something, and then afterwards you see the character and it's actually interacting to you. It's very hard to explain. It's like you're constantly reflecting on yourself and parts of yourself unconsciously, sometimes consciously, and it grows together hand in hand. So now I'm not afraid anymore to talk about anything I feel, anything I think. I'm very open to all kinds of perspectives. I don't pick sides anymore. I believe in solutions instead of pointing fingers. And that's all thanks to this character, like being very open to myself through this character and the world building. Um, and yeah, it's been a very it's been better to do this than talking to 30 psychologists. That's
No,
like,
that makes a lot of sense. And I feel like it's such a like a powerful way to showcase things you're dealing with. And also what you were saying with like a way to explore yourself and get to maybe know yourself better in a more creative and more fun way.
yeah, exactly, in a fun way. Because, like,
Yeah.
talking about your emotions and your beliefs of the world and sensitive topics, that's like we used to, like, shut down then. And it's less confronting to kind of point your finger to an extern, because you're basically pointing your finger at the character and the world you're building. But at
Right.
the same time, it's a part of you and it reflects back on you. But it's a very fun, indeed, way to get to know yourself and become aware of certain why do I feel this? Why do I think this? And
Hmm.
yeah, it's really
No,
great.
that absolutely makes sense. So, changing gears just a little bit, I'm curious about live performance. Can you talk a little bit about what you enjoy most about performing live, or kind of what a live show that you're doing would be like if someone were to attend?
Yes. What I really like um, recently was two things. So one was people coming up to me and really feeling that confidence within themselves. So like Jackpot has helped me a lot with finding this confidence and not caring anymore and just dressing the way I even dress like this on the streets and I don't care, I'm like,
I love
I
that.
feel like this, I feel like it, and people are allowed to feel what they want to feel. Um, and what I found very beautiful is that whenever I perform, there's usually one person or a couple who come up to me and you see that they have felt something again within themselves. And they're like, oh my God, I relate to this so much and I feel this confidence within me. And that's exactly what you want as an artist, because you're basically giving this away for other people. You're giving away the experience, the energy for those people to feel and do something for themselves with. And that's something very, very beautiful. And the second thing was I like activism a lot, apparently, but in a very fragile way, reflecting on me. So, for example, my last performance at a burlesque, well, one of the last performances, I had a string on, and at some point when I was singing the part like trans people are not your fetish, we're not a toy, we are the symbol of transformation, I pulled down my panties, and the only thing I have over my genitals is like red white barrier tape, so like this warning tape, like don't touch this, this is my part, like you can't label this is my part to define about myself. And that's a very fragile moment, because I literally put myself on a stage with not wearing anything down there anymore, just some tape. Um, but it felt very free. It felt like, yeah, I learned that this is my part for me, and it's not for you, and your part is for you. And also people came up to me afterwards like, oh my God, the contrast between that fragile moment, but also this rebel, this confidence is just a very, it did something for me. And that's exactly what I was talking about before again. I love it when people can really feel something in it, can really, instead of just hear listening to music, they can really feel something and do something with it for themselves. And that's what gets me super excited and going. So
Yeah, no, that absolutely makes sense. I think it's so much about like connection and community with others. Like it's not just going to a show and just like listening to music, but like having that connection with people has to be a really cool thing.
mm.
So you did mention, of course, your a show that you did recently. I'm wondering, are there any other shows that really especially like stand out to you?
Hmm. Let me see. No, that was really the highlights show so far. Like the where I pulled down my panties and with the barrier tape, because that really marks this confidence and what the character did for me and and the energy I'm giving away for the people and like that.
Yeah,
Nothing can top that so far. I don't know. That was the highlight. That was definitely the highlight.
that makes sense. I feel like it's kind of almost a turning point. Like you've created this character and had this character for so long, and like it's just a way to show how much it's impacted you, but now it's impacting other people as well.
Hmm.
So, kind of speaking still about live shows though, are there any songs that you especially really like to perform live?
Yes. So definitely Chase a Killer. It's not released yet, because I'm reproducing this one with this team I'm working with. It's gonna be released in a couple of weeks, I believe, as a promo to the upcoming album. Um, but whenever I perform that song, I'm just feeling it like 200%. Because also that's literally about how my character was created, like standing up against the chasers. And in the story of Jackpot, he goes out to take revenge and kills those chasers, but in a very like diva Frankenfurter Gaga way. And it's a really nice. I just really like the music style and the feeling in it and the story behind it, and just that's definitely my favorite so far. Yeah.
That's really cool. So, I know we talked a little bit about this new album. That song's coming from the new album. Is there anything else new and exciting on the horizon for you? Something that you're really excited about that you're looking forward to?
Yes, definitely. A couple of things. So the production team I'm working with now, Foxy Talent and I, the song Wonderland, this inclusive song I was talking about, we're gonna try to send it to Eurovision. Just to try. We're not expecting anything. You never know,
Yeah.
but I really feel like this is something I really want to put into the world with all the energy I have and really include people on the stage there as well, if possible. So that's something very exciting. We don't know if it's gonna happen. Like you never know what's gonna happen, but that would be really cool.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's really exciting.
mm. And I was asked to perform at COC Song Festival. It's also a song festival, but it's for COC in the Netherlands. So that's like especially a place for LGBT. And you have all kinds of artists who are either with gay or non-binary or trans within the LGBT scene who are being asked to perform for their region. So I'm asked to perform in the region of Noordoost Brabant. I don't know how to say that in English.
That's
Uh,
okay.
and I'm also gonna perform Chase the Killer for them there, so that's super exciting. And the 1st of August, I'm gonna perform in Paradiso in Amsterdam for a trans podium, so for transgender people, all kinds of artists. And I'm also gonna do Chase the Killer there, and I'm super excited to meet fellow trans artists because it's also really beautiful conversations together and we can really relate so much about certain things together. So I'm very excited about that. Um, so yeah, definitely those things, definitely.
You've got lots of exciting things coming up, that's for sure.
Hmm.
So, before we kind of wrap things up, is there anything that I didn't ask about that you especially wanted to talk about today?
Hmm. But I do want to say some things about my future vision, but I tend to get way too excited and talk about everything, and I need to keep some things secret. So like,
Okay, you can share whatever you want to share.
okay. Okay, so obviously, I do want to tour at some point worldwide and see the world and make a living as an artist. But I also want to turn my career as an artist into a way of giving back to the collective, in a way of involving people in this community I'm creating. And I'm hoping to be able to do this in all kinds of ways. So, one, I'm hoping to create a movie about this book, a video game, fashion line, more music, and then eventually, when I hopefully have like all kinds of connections within all kinds of industries, create like this massive platform. And the dream would be like Michael Jackson, for example, build like one big space, and then very circus teams, Alice in Wonderland teams, and you would have all kinds of things there, stuff for mental health clinic kind of stuff, artist residencies, Comic Con kind of stuff, or own stage, for both fans to go there, but also people who just want to, dive deeper within themselves and create characters and like that stuff. Artists mingling together and become a very inclusive place. But for that, we would obviously need a lot of connections and a lot of money. So that's one of my biggest goals as an artist, to eventually build up my career, to be able to give that back. And that's super exciting, and I'm super excited about it because like the people I work with now, they believe in this vision, and it's just a great feeling when you finally find people who see something within it. So
Oh, absolutely. I also just think that, you have these big dreams, and the only way to accomplish big things is by having big dreams and believing that you can. And especially having a team of other people who believe the same thing. Like, that's how you're going to be able to accomplish all these things, which is really exciting.
yes, exactly, that's true.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. I absolutely love your style and your character. And I can't wait to hear your full album when it comes out.
Thank you so much for having me today.